Well, it's time for the final Friday feedback of the year. Next week, it will be Friday Feedback 2025. So let's make it a good one and address things that I know are on the minds of the viewers. Renegades on the subreddit posted, "Why does every YouTube thumbnail have a yellow arrow pointing at someone, even if only one person is depicted?" You know, there's a reality in the YouTube space, which is sometimes things just are, and you don't really know why. And one of the things that's been sort of in lately with thumbnails is the yellow arrows or orange arrows pointing to people. I don't really know the oranges of this. What I can tell you is if you don't like it, it'll probably go away soon. None of these trends last forever. And we've already had internal discussions about the next iteration of our thumbnails. Listen, I don't think there's anything to hide with regard to the point of a thumbnail is to get someone to watch the video. And my rule has always been, let's not do dishonest stuff. Same thing with titles. When people come to me and they say, "Sir, you're using clickbait," and they often spell bait wrong, which is really funny. I say, okay, is what the title depicts in the video? If the answer is yes, it's just marketing. It's what is an accurate title that will get people to watch the video. And it's the same thing with the thumbnails. If I were to make a YouTube title like Trump carried out on a stretcher, and then that's not what happens in the video, that's going to be a major problem. So these things evolve. The whole YouTube title thing is we could do an entire week of shows just on YouTube titles and thumbnails. But if you don't like the arrows, they will be gone soon. The podcast audience is like, "Arrows? What are you talking about? I just listened to this crap." If you're just listening, you don't even have to worry about it. Okay, Jack Gray says, "Bernie Sanders is a wealthy millionaire who has never held a real job. He is the oligarchy." This is always sort of funny to me, and it can kind of come off as a little condescending when I explain this, but I do need to kind of tell you a reality. If you've been earning six figures for 30 years and you're not a millionaire, you're terrible with money, okay? Bernie's 83, and he has been earning six figures as a senator, previously as a member of the House. Before that, he had some other political job that I don't remember. I don't remember the exact, he was mayor of Burlington. Anyway, I don't know for how long he's been earning six figures, but he's been earning six figures long enough that if you're just a modestly good saver and you own a property which will appreciate just kind of average appreciation, by the time you're 83, you're going to be a millionaire. And one of the things that I find to be a significant distraction is that yes, Bernie is a millionaire, and he advocates for policies that would help people who earn $32,000 a year. On the other hand, Trump is a billionaire, Musk is a turbo billionaire, and they're sort of thinking to themselves, could we fund tax cuts for the rich and corporations by slashing Social Security benefits a little bit? It's like, give me a break, guys. Give me a break. If the best you've got is Bernie's a millionaire, then you've really got nothing. Ping Vinny on subreddit said, "Were pre-Trump Republicans considered moderate? I'm fairly young. 2016 election was the first I followed, but I knew the results of 2012. I'm not an American, so my knowledge of US politics prior to 16 is vague. Were Republicans like George W. Bush, Mitt Romney, and Dick/Liz Cheney considered moderates, or are they just moderates compared to Trumpists?" Here's the problem with the framing of the question. It's a good question. And I like that you're saying, how did things used to be? It'll help me understand how they are now. That's why I have 2 full chapters in my forthcoming book explaining exactly how this stuff came to be. Right now, MAGA is not equivalent to prior Republicans in terms of are they more conservative or moderate. The modern MAGA wing of the Republican Party has become a neo-reactionary party. Conservatism, in the sense of small government and low taxes, that entire ideology is not even valid for evaluating these people, because it's sort of like, Sure, they'll kind of talk about small government, but they love blowing up government way bigger when it serves their kleptocratic and oligarchical interests. Sure, they are for, you know, lower taxes in the abstract, but it's like for who and executed how and at what cost. They're outrageous nationalist and ethno-nationalist views and all this stuff. Yes, to answer the question as asked, it is clear to me that MAGA Trumpism is far more radical than George W. Bush was. But George W. Bush fit on the traditional kind of scale of conservatism, whereas what MAGA is offering is something completely different altogether, and that's what can make it sort of hard to answer. Someone made an image from my visit with President Biden last week and said, I picture this one on their mantles. And it's a side by side of Biden and me. I actually did get a real picture with Joe Biden, but a little peek behind the curtain. In certain parts of the White House, at least for the plebs like me, they sequester your phone. You're not allowed to have your phone with you. I don't know if we saw, for example, Anthony Blinken when we were leaving. I don't know if they take his phone. They took all of our phones. So they said, our White House photographer will take the picture of you and the president, and then we will get it to you. We will get it to you are scary words when it is the White House that is leaving in a month. So I am praying, Baruch Hashem, I get that damn picture. But this picture that someone put together was not the picture of Biden and I at the White House. Findest asked on the subreddit, is MAGA the largest cult in human history? I've been thinking about this the last couple days. Every time I think of a cult, I think of 50, 150, maybe 500 people. Sometimes cults are big enough to have cells in different regions, if cells is even the right term. But this MAGA cult is pushing what, 35 to 40 million? I would love to hear the opinion of anybody who has some knowledge on this or can point me in the direction of where I can look short of Googling largest cults in history, because I actually want to have a conversation about this. Yeah, I think it's clear that as loosely defined in this way, as we've been talking about the Trump cult, I think it is the biggest cult. You know, if you think about even like a popular band, the vast majority of their followers really aren't cultists in the way that MAGA people are cultists. So unless someone can tell me otherwise, I kind of do think that this is the biggest cult in history. You know, if I Google what is the largest cult in history, I found a thing about the four People's Temple had 900 people. Manson, now these are tiny. Heaven's Gate, no. I think that by almost any definition, the Trump cult is the biggest cult, not just now, but I think ever. Steve McMahon writes about the election. People did not want a black female president, so you chose dictatorship. Now you have 36 days of freedom left. Don't come crying when you get screwed. Well, I've done extensive, copious videos about how many of the people that voted for Trump are about to get screwed. They are about to fund tax cuts for Elon Musk. They are going to pay higher prices on products. They are going to pay higher prices on groceries. This is, of course, if Trump does the stuff he promised. There's a chance Trump doesn't do any of it, right? That we'll deal with that. A lot of the people are about to get screwed. But what's sad is that the people who didn't vote for Trump are also going to get screwed. And I take no pleasure in that whatsoever. But yeah, we're about to see some brutal stuff happen. Cynthia says about the stuff in the sky that we've been seeing lately. I saw two whatever they are in the sky a week ago. There were red and green lights flashing, hovering in the sky. Could have been over Miller Airport, which is a small plane airport, or over the high power lines. I know what I saw, David, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Of course, I assume that this is satire. Airplanes have a red light on one wing and a green light on the other, so that you can tell whether they are coming towards you or moving away from you. And I think that Cynthia is simply pointing out that indeed there was an airplane over an airport, not exactly a smoking gun, and then very different message about the stuff in the sky, Rita said, it's not Venus, it's an orb. Do a little more research, David. Lots of phenomena. What I love about this is like, what does it even mean that it's an orb? Like, I understand the term orb suggests an alien, but what is it? What is an orb? Let's look that up. It's a sphere or a globe. Okay. That doesn't really tell us very much. But I will note, quite literally dozens of people, maybe close to 100, wrote in. They believe that what we are seeing are drones and or evidence of alien contact. How it could be both, I don't know. Is it alien drones? I'm not sure. But if I'm honest, I remain unconvinced by everything people have sent me. You know, we talked last week. Some of these sightings were stars. Some of these sightings were planets. Some of these sightings were airplanes landing at Reagan in DC. I said, if you have something different that we can't explain, please email it to me. Like 6 people did, and it was all not. Of the 6 things, 5, it wasn't even clear that it was anything. And one of them was just debunked as planes. So I don't know. Keep sending them in. info@davidpakman.com if you have something you want me to look at. But so far, I am not finding it all particularly convincing. All right. We will see you on the bonus show. I will be back here next week. Remember, we'll be off Wednesday for the New Year's Day holiday, but otherwise we will have new shows. See you then. Have a good weekend. Men in the audience, this is for you. One of our new sponsors is Integrated Men, an online support community dedicated to helping men reclaim their power, break free from outdated masculinity norms, and find purpose. Integrated Men hosts weekly meetings that guide men in overcoming shame and self-limiting beliefs. If you feel lost, stuck, or like you're just trying to please others at the expense of your own happiness, this community can help you break free. It's not about pretending everything's easy. It's about embracing the chaos, facing fears, learning how to live with real integrity. They help men confidently into their purpose, to stop seeking validation from others, start leading your own life. The community dives into everything from setting boundaries, developing emotional resilience, understanding the 4 archetypes of mature masculinity. It's deep, it's practical, and most importantly, it's effective. If you're ready to step up, move past your old habits, live a life driven by purpose, not fear, I highly recommend checking out Integrated Men. Go to integratedmen.net/Pakman to learn more and check out my interview with Adil, and check out also the quiz that is a short assessment for taking that first step. The link is in the description.